All right, it says I'm live, so this is kind of a test. I kind of want to try to do some streaming more, but look, this quality. Most of the videos I shoot is on this because it's decent quality. It's better than this. So, anyways, so I'm probably recording too early. Anyways, just getting this out there. First live stream test. So I figured, let's go through some of my films that I've got, my favorite ones, And I should have been in bed a long time ago. Starting to feel the fatigue kicking in. So yeah, if nobody shows up, that's great, because it'll allow me to keep going through and talking about my movies without having to look at any of the comments in the chat. And if somebody comes in and says hi, I was like, oh, hey, somebody actually is seeing this. And I will never forget it because somebody actually watched me. Amazing. Anyways, so I'm just going to be going through 12 of my favorite films. Why top 12? Because I want to keep Doug Walker in my dust, especially after he did that review for The Wall. That was just awful. It was absolutely atrocious. Wait, what's this? All right, must be volume. So, okay. All right. That little sound cut out. It was just me testing the little mic on-off mute switch thing. So yeah. Anyway, so figuring out what I wanted to talk about ended up being a lot harder, because when it got to the 12th film, I was just like, there's so many good movies. Which ones do I pick? So I've got like a few little like honorable mentions just to talk about, and a few others that I want to mention, but I guess they didn't quite make it. They're close though. They're like honorable mentions. So I'll get those ones out of the way first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Yeah, I'll get those out of the way. And when I'm talking about these, they're in no particular order, except for the last film, which will be my all-time favorite movie. Oh, hey. Looks like somebody's actually watching me. Amazing. Where do we want to begin? All right. Let's talk about Fritz Lang's M. I haven't seen the remake of this from like the 50s or something, like an American remake, because, remakes are older than some people may think. Anyways, yes, M. For me, the thing that really got me was the use of sound, or the lack of use of sound. This is an earlier talkie, but it's sound is used when necessary. So there are times where there's no sound, then something like there might be nothing, then you'll hear like a whistle of the police, and then it's just that, hundreds of people running, but there's nothing except like one person screaming or something. So the use of sound was brilliant, and I suppose part of that would be, the time, just getting, because if I'm not mistaken, this is Fritz Lang's first talkie. So, getting into that, learning folly and everything. So, yeah, and Peter Lorre in his first role, great little thriller. What else do I want to say? The joys of non-scripted videos. Well, I don't want to maybe dwell on these things too much. I want to keep going. I don't expect this to be too long. Maybe a half hour or something. Who knows? I've been going at it for almost 6 minutes now already. So, see how long it actually takes me. Stick this there. All right. The action film, one of my least favorite genres, but there are a few that I absolutely adore, and this is one of them. Now, for me, it seems like when it comes to action movies, I either like them to have either this kind of not necessarily comedy, but still very humorous, or they don't necessarily mind to take their time, like there'll be the action sequences, but there'll be, some space in between, for character development and whatnot. This isn't exactly one of those, but it definitely has a sense of humor and some great satire. But yeah, this is Paul Verhoeven. Before this, this is the film that kind of made him become an action director, an intelligent action director. He kind of started from like more art housey kind of movies, so that might be kind of a bit of a transition into why film is the way it is. Like initially, he didn't want to do it, but I guess his wife was like, "Hey, well, it's kind of a Frankenstein story. I mean, it has its artistic merit, and it's a pretty awesome movie." Oh man, so I think, all right, let's move on. I want to get these going because that's the way I go. I like to make my things like I never make 10-minute videos, even though YouTube wants me to. Let's get away from Criterion a little bit. This has been one of my favorite films always from growing up, and I used to rent it all the time. It was I'm not sure what made me pick it up, apart from the PG rating, because parents they like to they didn't want to expose me to too many things, so I usually would figure, okay, PG films I can usually get away with, and I think that's part of the reason why I like film as much as I did, because I ended up growing up with a lot of movies made during the Hays Code era, like the 50s and 40s, so because they were so strict, it made me pick things I've always enjoyed horror, but a lot of horror films I couldn't watch. But I noticed the universe, like Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, I could I could watch those. So like either check the rating or the decades. So this was rating, found in comedy. So I think this is the classic VHS art. So just something about it made me pick it up and watch it over and over. Absolutely loved it. Great little black comedy. And this has the work print. So the quality, it's not very good, but it's a different version of the Burbs. Nowhere near as good as the final product, but it's still interesting to see the progression of what it started out as and what we got. So, moving on. 11 minutes. I got 3 done in 11 minutes. Got a lot of Criterion. I like Criterion. Speaking of Criterion, David Lynch's debut. Surrealism is something I've always enjoyed. Surrealism, horror, when you get surreal horror. So this is it's, if you know David Lynch, it's weird. You have to pick it. What does it mean to you? Lynch says that he's never heard anyone actually give what his interpretation of the film is. But for me, it's like about the repercussions, of lust, or there's absolutely no meaning and he just wants to mess with us. It's one of those. Man, it's got droning soundtrack throughout, never stops, long shots, and just a strangeness unlike any other. Absolutely fantastic. All right, so got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more. It's no longer Christmas, but this is like the Christmas movie I like to revisit the most. Yeah, it's just a good film to help you appreciate things. Make you like life can be good. Even if it sucks, it can still be good. And then I got an opportunity to see this in a theater, and it definitely did make things so much better. Totally amplified. It was one of the best movie-going experiences I've ever had. I don't remember if people applauded it at all. Sometimes when I go to older movies, people will applaud. Like, I remember applause for Double Indemnity and one or two others, but I don't remember which ones. Yeah, if you ever want to get a chance to see people applause at a movie theater, go to re-releases like this. There might have even been applause for this one. I don't remember. Wait, I just said I don't remember. Anyways. A little bit longer. I'll be able to go to bed. Start doing every other Criterion. Brazil by Terry Gilliam. I love dystopian movies, and this is dystopia, but with that very distinct Gilliam flair, and also like 90% of his films, it's a testament of the imagination. That seems to be one of his underlining themes. It's always about how amazing the imagination is. From this, you know, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, Time Bandits, Munchausen, not 12 Monkeys. That's the oddball, but otherwise, imagination is key. So, dystopian, great comedy, some, great. It looks amazing. This is a visual feast. From the dream sequences, which look really good, to everything, just its retro future look, where it's like you don't know what time it is because it's just a mashup of different time periods from like the 50s to 50s, 40s, 30s. It's another very visually unique film. And it's kind of like the comedic version of 1984. It's from 1985. All right, so that was Criterion. Pigs. Now, as I've mentioned in another video where I talk specifically about this, all the covers, art, and posters, what you're seeing here, there, trying to get the glare, this is not the movie you get. It is a very slow burn, very psychological, very little violence, very little, not sexuality, and there's no nudity, but you wouldn't know that from what you get. So don't be fooled by this, and don't be fooled by the fact that this was a Section 3 video nasty, because there's nothing very nasty about it. It's a very slow, fascinating little film by Mark Lawrence, and he, is primarily a character actor. He did in a lot of noir films. So, but I know I would have seen him in some other things, but I just can't think of them. Wait, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I just trying to see if I'm sure he's in some of my films, like another of my Criterion somewhere, because that's where most of the noir stuff I have would be. sure I have on something. I'm just not going to take the time to look. So, all right. City Lights. I believe this was essentially like Charlie Chaplin's last silent, which technically this isn't a silent film. Just as close as you could possibly get. So like it has, an actual soundtrack to it. But otherwise, yeah, more or less it's a silent movie. It's not, although it's not like modern times where there's like sound effects. Wait. No, yes, there is use of sound effects throughout the film and here spots here and there. Like there's a little bit with a dog whistle and unless I'm getting this confused with modern times. The very beginning, you see the mayor of the town or something giving a speech for the unveiling of a statue. And whenever they talk, instead of an actual voice, you're just hearing a kazoo going. So kind of like, how the adults talk into the Peanuts. Chaplin did it first. He also did the moonwalk first in Gold Rush. Yeah. This is how you do romantic comedies. It's hilarious, but it also has the heart. Now, of the big three of the silent comedians, Chaplin, Keaton, Lloyd. How could I forget Lloyd? I think he's my favorite because of the pathos that he puts in. Keaton has some of the best gags, and the physical comedy in those films are amazing. Lloyd is my least favorite, but some of the films that he is in, the intertitles are absolutely hilarious. Lloyd has the best intertitles. Keaton has the best gags. But I think overall, Chaplin's where it's at because he likes to make you laugh, but he also likes to make you cry. For the most part. If he's not making you cry, he might be getting political sometimes, like with Monster Verdu on The Great Dictator. But those are still good movies too. All right, moving on. Looks like this is going to be about half hour or so. Sucker Punch. I know this is one of the films a lot of people seem to hate, and I remember I saw this in the theater when it first came out. It was me and my girlfriend at the time, and that was it. We were the only ones in the theater. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, this combines like elements of some of my favorite films, like Brazil, as I've already mentioned. Like, there's even a part in here. It's a fantasy sequence in which, well, it's not going to be a spoiler because you're looking at it right here. It's a fantasy sequence, well, a fantasy within a fantasy, but where she fights giant samurais. Brazil, there's dream sequences throughout about the main character of Sam Lowry fighting giant samurais. And also, this has very much of a. This reminds me a lot like heavy metal because the fantasy sequences, they're all different genres, sort of. Well, they're all more or less science fiction, but we've got like fighting Nazi zombies and giant samurais, orcs in like World War II planes, robots on a train. So each fantasy sequence has its own feel, sort of like heavy metal. It's an anthology movie, but each segment is a different genre. Like, there's horror, sword and sorcery, sci-fi noir. So, yeah. And it kind of reminds me of like, story like an occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge or Carnival of Souls. And I'm not, well, I'm that's spoilerific enough. If you know what those stories are like, I kind of gave it away. But if you don't know what I'm talking about with those, then I'm not giving away anything, fortunately. So, yeah. And this is an action film. An action film I actually like. I was very surprised at how much I liked this movie. But I think, like I said, it has elements of things that I like Brazil and heavy metal. So, putting all these on my favorite movie. House, or House, or Hasu, if you. I think the film is actually House. Some people they call it Hasu, trying to make it, Japanese. But if you watch the movie, they say the name of the movie and they show the title. It's House. They say House, and a distinctly Japanese accent, but they still say House. Anyways, so yeah, this is another very visual movie, another surreal movie. It's hard to explain it. Here, they mention it's like a Scooby-Doo directed by Mario Bava. I think maybe Argento might be a bit more apt. I think of like Suspiria and, the bright, vivid colors. Or if it was. Anyways, for me, when I like to describe this movie, it's not a good description. It's totally wrong, but it's the best way I can describe it. It's like Evil Dead 2 meets the anime Fooly Cooly. It's a just offbeat, very comedic. It does not take itself seriously at all, and all the special effects are like deliberately cheap looking, like it's just like cutouts and whatnot, when they could have done more, but they went very stylized to complement the absurdity that is this movie. You talk about when people talk about how weird Japan can be. This is the epitome of Japanese weirdness, and it is a sight to behold. It's also a bit of a horror film. I don't know if it's hard to say if it's a straight up horror film or a straight up comedy or a comedy horror or a horror comedy or something. I don't know, but it's undescribable. Whew. Stack was about to fall on me. To me, this is the most terrifying film I have ever seen, in my opinion. Of course, like all film, taste is subjective, but there's just something about this movie that really got to me. Like one of the kills, I'm not going to say which one to, hide spoilers. And then the climax, just total nightmare. Utterly terrifying to me. I absolutely loved it. It's Cronenberg. Some people generally consider this to be his first really good film. And I haven't seen Shivers yet, but I've seen some of his other early works. Rabbit was okay. And then, I've seen, some of his really, really early stuff like, Stereo and Crimes of the Future, is it? I think. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So I saw some of those, but this is where Cronenberg really begins to become Cronenberg until modern Cronenberg, where, like, I want to say, I think one of his, but I haven't seen it, but I think one of his last films you would call a horror film would be Extends or something, a Videodrome for video games, essentially, from what I can tell about the film. Might as well just made Videodrome again. But yeah, scariest film in my opinion, and this cover art is hideous. This is hideous. The movie is not hideous. It is the opposite of hideous. And the opposite of hideous is not hideous. I'm pretty sure. All right. Now, before I get to the first one, I'm just going to maybe do a few honorable mentions. I'm just picking two. But it was so hard to pick. There's even someone here that I thought about taking. I almost grabbed 12 Angry Men, but I didn't. Let's highlight something that's not Criterion, because I did a lot of those already. Psychomania. I don't know what it is about this film that I like. Although I know when I watched it, in the end I was like, this could almost be an origin story for like a superhero kind of thing. Man, I think it could work. Anyway, so yeah, maybe to help explain, why I think that. Let me give you a little. I'm actually going to tell you what the movie is about, which is something I was going to do for all these, but then I just slipped my mind because that's how I operate. I have things planned, so everything that I have planned that I'm going to talk about, I don't talk about. So everything that I don't plan on talking about, I'm talking about. Like me right now, talking about what I'm talking about and not talking about. I never anticipated on doing that, but here I am doing it. All right, so yeah, the basic plot: this biker gang, you know, they're they're, they're a biker gang, they're criminals, they're kind of like Hell's Angels, but they're British, so I suppose they'd be, they'd be rockers, is it? I don't think they're mods. They're more rockers, I think. I'm not sure. Somebody would have to tell me that. The only real exposure to the whole mods and rocker thing I've really had an exposure to was Quadrophenia. Anyways, biker, motorcycles, doing criminals, doing crimes, stealing sushi, that kind of stuff. So, anyways, the head guy discovers the key to immortality. And the key in this world to immortality is through death. You need to kill yourself, but you have to have so much faith that you'll be brought back that it becomes a reality. So they do that. Most of them come back. They do their things, not have to worry about consequences because shoot them, they don't care. One of the characters figures like, maybe this isn't right. Maybe I should do something. Maybe all this killing, it's not a good idea. Or, yeah, raping thing. I don't know about that. So, yeah, she kind of wants to right things, and try to, right the wrongs, So, the redemption arc and everything, but the immortality thing, assuming if she still has the ability to, well, I'm telling you the movie. But anyways, yeah, fun little movie. This was something that I originally picked up when Severin was blowing them out because they lost the rights to the movie. So I was like, all right, we got these. We don't have the rights to them anymore. We're putting them on sale. So I got this and a few other things. And I know, like, I had a cousin and a friend that had talked about this movie and how much they liked it. So I was like, okay, that's a movie they talk about. And yeah, I was totally impressed by it. I feel like that was the longest I talked about the movies so far. Everything on here looks like it's all Criterion except for Bay of Blood. I want to talk about Fantastic Planet as my second honorable mention, and then I will get to my all-time favorite movie. So this is an animated film, French, science fiction, not necessarily a kid's film. Although if you think kids could handle it, I think they could watch it, A little violence, not bad. Some nudity, but it's not sexual. It's more incidental, I like to call it. It's like they just happen to be in that state, but it's not sexual at all. Just sort of like, gods must be crazy. There's some topless people in there, but it's part of the culture. I mean, bush people. What are you gonna do? But yeah, the animation is kind of a cutout, sort of like, I am not sure what number that is. Hopefully they'll leave a message. If it's not important, they won't leave a message. There we go. Anyways, somebody that kind of predates Gilliam. I don't remember his name, but he also did a version of Baron Munchausen with some animation, kind of that cutout style, and that's kind of what this is like. Like, really good Gilliam animation. But I wish I could remember that other guy's name. Criterion's coming out with a big set of like 4 films of his, which I'd like to pick up sometime. Might be a while. Next film I got to get is that awesome Gojira set. Can't wait to get that. Because so Armageddon will finally have a companion of having a horrible movie to sit alongside with. You hear that, Armageddon? You're going to be next with Son of Godzilla. You're no longer going to be the only crappy movie in the collection. So yeah, it's another visual movie, very kind of trippy, not necessarily surreal, but the way it presents itself is kind of a head trip of a movie. With the creature designs and the world that the characters inhabit, and an amazing soundtrack. I want to get this like on a vinyl or something so badly. Oh, wait, the animator I'm talking about. Hey, I gotta find out right now. Anyways, yeah, I absolutely love the soundtrack. The main theme, oh, ranks up among some of my favorite soundtrack music, right up there with like Tenebrae or even The Burbs. There's some other soundtracks I like. There are a lot of great soundtracks, but I kind of like some synthy stuff and some kind of funky music, progressive rock. I love Goblin, John Carpenter. Coming soon. Karel Zeman. Zeman. So, yeah, Fantastic Planet. Great animated science fiction film. And now, numero uno, my all-time favorite movie, Babette's Feast. This is a beautiful film. I don't necessarily mean the visual of it, but the story. It's such a great film about unselfish love and faith, and definitely brings out some of the best aspects of Christianity. It's And Luton Helm's speeches, both of them, every time I watch it, brings a tear to my eye. Such a great. Yeah, is that my missed call? Nope, something else. Must not have been important because there's no message. Yeah, this movie brings me so much joy. Like, It's a Wonderful Life. This is a film. If I want to feel all gooey inside, this will be one. And I can watch this more any time of the year. I don't have to wait till December, which makes it even better. I mean, because I'm not going to watch It's a Wonderful Life. Well, if anything, I might watch it in July, because Christmas in July. And I just noticed I got to change this. So, all right, Electric City. Yes, it used to be. I haven't seen this film, so I can't imitate that voice very well. Let's see what's next for the 10th. Here's a classic. Greed, for lack of a better term, is good. Wall Street. Also haven't seen. And I haven't seen the next film, but I read the book. Talk about it's Fight Club. And it's the first rule of Fight Club. That's all I'm going to say about that. So yeah, Babbitt's Feast. There's no way to describe how this movie makes me feel. I'm Christian, so I think that's part of the reason why it resonates so well with me. It's like one of the most beautiful. This isn't pure flicks. This isn't actually. It doesn't, it's not preachy, but it's just so much love in the film. Like true, unselfish love. It's no way to describe it. Fantastic. So yeah, that's that. 12 of my favorite films and 2 honorable mentions, and a small little pile of things that I didn't mention. Well, I did talk about Carnival of Souls and heavy metal before, but they didn't exactly make the list. So yeah, that'll be that for this one. Till I see you in the next video. Maybe I'll do a live stream sometime soon. I don't know. But doing it like this, it's pretty simple because I'm recording and it's being put on the internet right away instead of me recording and going to upload it and waiting for that. Just, I'm hitting 50 birds with one pebble, if you know what I'm saying. Because I'm not sure I do. So hopefully you do. Because somebody has to know something. So yeah, I think that's it. Let's run through these quick one more time to close out this video. In the order that I presented them in. I'll start with honorable mentions, then the order. Fantastic Planet, Psychomania, Babbitt's Feast. Brood. I like a variety of movies, in case you haven't noticed. House, Sucker Punch, City Lights, Pigs, Brazil, It's a Wonderful Life, Eraserhead, The Burbs, RoboCop. And I'll just go through this little pile of the things that almost made it, but not quite. Unfaithfully Yours, Peeping Tom, Charade, Carnival of Souls, Jubal, Bay of Blood, Possession, and one very precarious stack of movies. I am going to do something about that. It's looking better. There we go. Yep. 51 minutes. Not quite an hour. I ended up talking a little bit longer than I thought. And I hardly said anything at all. That's the way it goes. Chapped lips. Where I work, bunch of paper dust. It gets really dry there, especially in the winter. Just now noticed that. I've been feeling it all day, but I just now noticed it looking at my mug. Phew. So we should censor this. So yeah, all right. That's that. I'll see you all in the next one. So take care and God bless. And